Hey everyone! If you're in Australia and you've ever asked yourself, how can I get my parents to live here with us for good? Then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to unpack one very specific answer to that question straight from the government's playbook, the Subclass 864 visa, also known as the Contributory Aged Parent Visa.
Right? It's a huge question, and it's on so many people's minds. You've set up your life here, and you just want your parents to be able to share in that permanently. So what's the real, official way to do it? Well, there's actually a visa designed for exactly this scenario.
And this is it, the Subclass 864. Now, the word you really want to lock onto here is permanent. We're not talking about a visitor visa or a temporary stay. This is the real deal. It lets a parent live in Australia for good as a permanent resident. It's absolutely life-changing, but, and this is a big but, the rules are super specific. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Before you even start thinking about the money or what this visa gets you, you have to get through the front door. The government calls this the Eligibility Gateway. Think of it as the first big checkpoint. The Department of Home Affairs is crystal clear about who gets past this point, so this is where we have to start.
So to get through that gateway, there are basically 3 keys you need to have. First, you need an eligible child as a sponsor. Second, your parent has to be a certain age. And third, their current visa situation has to line up with the rules. Let's break down exactly what each of those means.
Okay, key number 1, the sponsor. Now, it's not enough to just be an Australian citizen or a permanent resident. There's this other requirement that's super important. The sponsoring child has to be settled in Australia. So what does that mean? Well, usually it means you've been living here for a decent amount of time. Think around 2 years or more.
Next up, the age requirement. This one's pretty black and white. Your parent has to be old enough to qualify for the Australian age pension. A quick heads up though, this age can and does change over time, so you absolutely have to double check the latest rules on the official government websites. Don't rely on old info.
And here's a massive, massive detail you cannot miss. This permanent visa, the 864, and the temporary one, the Subclass 870, they don't mix at all. If your parent already has the temporary visa or has even just applied for it, they are flat out not eligible for this one. You have to know this right from the start because it's a deal breaker.
Okay, so let's say you've made it through the eligibility gateway. You've ticked all the boxes. Now comes a part I like to call the reality check. This is where we have to talk about the 2 things that every single family has to grapple with: how much it costs and how long it's going to take.
All right, let's not sugarcoat it. There's a reason this is called a contributory visa. We're talking about a cost starting at over 48,000 Australian dollars for one person. It's a huge financial commitment, and it's a core part of the deal for this particular path to residency. Now, the one bit of breathing room here is that you don't have to pay all of that up front. The cost is broken into 2 payments. You pay a smaller amount when you lodge the application, and then the big chunk, the second installment, is only due way down the track, right before the visa is actually approved. So it does give you some time to get your finances in order.
And that brings us to the other part of the reality check, the waiting game. And believe me, it's a long game. The government is really upfront about this. So many people want these visas, but there's only a limited number of spots available each year. That creates a massive queue. We're talking seriously long processing times. This is not a fast track, it's a long-term strategy.
So after you've jumped through all those hoops, the eligibility checks, the cost, the long wait, what's the payoff? Let's talk about the destination. What does life actually look like for your parent once they have this visa in hand? This is the reason you go through it all. So what do you get for all that time and money? Well, a lot. Your parent becomes a permanent resident, which means they can stay here forever. They have the right to work and study. A huge one, they can enroll in Medicare, our public healthcare system. They can also travel in and out of Australia as they please for the first 5 years. And down the line, they can even apply to become an Australian citizen.
Okay, so we've walked through the rules, the really tough parts, and the incredible benefits. Now let's just step back and look at the whole picture. It's time to put it all on the scales and figure out if this is the right move for your family.
And this really breaks it down, doesn't it? In the pros column, you have the ultimate prize, permanent residency, the freedom to work and study, and that all-important access to Medicare. But in the cons column, you've got some heavy hitters, a really high price tag, a very long wait time, and those super strict rules you have to meet. It really is a classic case of weighing the cost against the reward. Which leads us to the final question, and honestly, it's the only one that really matters. Now that you've seen the facts straight from the source, is it worth it for your family? Can you balance the incredible outcome of having your parents here for good against the very real challenges of money and time? That's a decision only you can make. Is this the future you're aiming for?